Okay, so hopefully you've seen my previous videos. You get the idea about different villages. So the village that I'm in, that I'm talking about succeeding in, is the village where you're showing in galleries, showing at festivals, showing on the internet, but people are actually buying your work, and that's how you're making your living. So in terms of to be able to succeed at this, there's some key steps you have to take kind of right at the beginning, and then also throughout the rest of your life, basically, because this is a life journey. It's not something you do for 3 years or 4 years or 10 years. The very first most important thing that you have to buy into is you have to believe that it's possible. And as one of my earlier things with Harley Brown, where he said, if you're willing to do everything that's required to succeed, I guarantee you'll succeed. And I honestly believe that. I believe that it's not about skill. Skill is just where you are right now. Or talent is just where you are right now. All of the things that are required to become a successful artist, they're all learnable. They're learnable skills and they're learnable concepts. So the first thing is you have to believe that you can do it. If you don't believe that you can do it, then you're never going to succeed. I didn't believe that I could do it. But I'll even just tell you, I would even just challenge you to do what I did, which was I assumed Harley Brown might be right, and I said for a year I will go ahead and assume you're right and start doing all of these things. And within that year, there was such a significant improvement in my work that I really did believe, and then just kept going. So you got to believe that you can do it. And then you need to honestly assess what your skill level and what your knowledge level is about art. Because again, in my village, you need to master all the skills and you need to master all of the concepts and all of the theoretical knowledge in order to have a shot at this. And so you have to, if your drawing is not great, and we mentioned earlier on, very good is not good enough. So being very good at drawing, being very good at composition, being very good at mixing colors, being very good at negative shapes, that's not good enough. You need to master all of these skills. So the first thing is to be honest with yourself, make an assessment about where you need to improve. And commit to doing what you need to improving it. And so that's the next step, is when you realize that you have certain areas that you're deficient in, you have to be willing to do intentional exercises to improve those. And those are not as much fun as painting. It's, again, it's getting back to doing that. If you're a hockey player, doing those murders is not as much fun as playing in a game. But if you want to increase your skill set, your agility, your speed, your physical condition, you need to do that. And it's the same within art. You need to address your skills first before you can go out and try and find your own voice. So again, you need to do the things you don't want to do to improve your skill set to be able to get your work to another level. Another thing that you need to do is you need to create a supportive environment for this. So you need to surround yourself with people who encourage you and share your passion for art, and also hopefully people you can learn from. And one of the best ways to do that is joining different art guilds, art associations, what have you. I'm going to do a whole video on that later. But by surrounding yourself with people who share your dream, you get that reinforcement. You also have a huge pool to learn from, because you can learn from everyone else's experiences, not just your own. But that supportive environment is really important. And you need to get rid of toxic influences. If you've got people in your life who say, well, this is a waste of time, you're never going to do it, everybody that tries it fails it, and they're just kind of negative Nellies, you need to disassociate yourself from them, because you don't need to hear that. That's going to become self-fulfilling prophecy. You need to surround yourself in a supportive environment that believes like you do. And again, I believe this with my whole heart. This stuff is possible. It's all just about hard work. It's not about a gift or anything else like that. One of the other things that you need to do is you need to be a consumer of art. And by that I mean everything about art. So you need to get out, to go to galleries, to look at artwork. You need to read about art. You need to watch videos about art. You need to make that part of your life, that just consuming knowledge, being inspired by other people's work. For me, I don't do it so much anymore because I've read so many articles, but at one time I was subscribing to like 6 or 7 magazines a year. I would watch every single show on television about art or videos. I would watch stuff on the internet. And those magazines I would read voraciously. And I would read them over and over and over again, because it's like when you're reading an article about something, it may be something that's kind of 2 or 3 years down the road before that's really important with you. So when you read it now, it kind of goes in one ear, out the other. But 3 years later, when you reread that magazine, all of a sudden that article is right where you are now. But you need, I believe, you need to learn as much as you can about art. And so by reading about artists, by reading about the business of art, all of this kind of thing, you're going to be increasing your just general knowledge and your specific knowledge. And that's all going to go in to helping you achieve success as an artist. And then once you've done all of this stuff, you've made the assessments of where your weaknesses are, you've made the decision you're going to commit to this, and you need to get in the habit of setting goals and objectives. And this is really, really important. I'm actually going to do a whole video on goals and objectives. But it's one thing to just say, I wish I was in 5 galleries, and next year I'd like to be in 5 galleries. That's a wish or an objective that you have. But by just stating it like that, there's no way that is going to bring you closer to your goal. And you can wish that all you want and think about it. And just by doing whatever you're doing now, if you're not in galleries now, that's not going to bring you there. If you want to achieve your objectives, you need to think about what are the skills or things that I need to do that are going to increase my odds of that, and things that you have control over, and then set those as goals to do. So for example, if your goal was to be in, say 1 gallery next year, and say you're already producing work that you're selling. So you're doing work that's reasonably competent, you're selling work at festivals, but you're not in any galleries. Just wishing you were in galleries is not going to help you. But by setting concrete goals that are going to bring you closer, you can do that. So what's an example of goals you could set for that? Well, you could say, first of all, I am going to complete 30 paintings this year. And of those 30 paintings, I am going to always keep on hand my best 5. I'm not going to offer those 5 paintings up for sale. I'm going to keep them back, because I'm going to use these to approach galleries. And I'm going to paint in a consistent theme, because that's what galleries want as well. They want to know who you are, what your voice is. So you could say, every painting that I do this year, of them I'm going to paint in a consistent theme. I'm going to keep my 5 best pieces back. I'm also going to spend, say, 1 day a month going around and either going personally to galleries or investigating galleries online, so that I can come up with a list of, say, out of maybe 40 or 50 galleries that you've investigated, 5 of them where you think your work might fit in there. And then at the end of the year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a package that has printed copies of my work, as well as a DVD, plus my CV or biography. And at the end of the year, I am going to send one of those packages to each of those 5 galleries that I've set out. So that's going to have my 5 best paintings. It's going to have my 5 galleries that I think where my work might fit in. And then after sending that work, a week later, I'm going to make a follow-up call to each of the galleries. I would also say, if you're interested in approaching a gallery, it's doing the research of going on, finding out what is their submission process. Because a lot of galleries, particularly big galleries, they have a set criteria for how you submit to have your work considered. But by kind of setting out all those steps, you have control over that. You don't have any control about whether the galleries accept you or not. but you have control over setting up the conditions where you're going to be closer to that goal. Now, you may in fact achieve that goal of getting in a gallery, or you may not, but chances are you may get some feedback from the galleries too that's going to help you. And so that's the type of thing you need to do. You need to set up goals and objectives, and then stick to them. You need a plan. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in depth later on. So yeah, I hope you found this helpful, but I think these are all the things you need to do and be willing to commit to even have a hope of advancing your level as an artist to the point where you can sustain a career at it. So yeah, I will see you next time.